Hello friends, this is Caroline of Caroline's Plans. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. I'm so glad that you're here. Make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss a video. I've been getting some questions about my pre-planning process, the process that I take before putting down stickers in my planner. The first thing that I do is pre-plan in my daily petite planners. I use this to keep track of my daily tasks for YouTube, home, work, and personal things. And then I organize those tasks and then break them down into my top 6 tasks, organize those in order, and list those at the bottom of my spread for each day. Those will be the items that I will put into my final spread for each day. Then at the beginning of the week, usually pull a variety of scripts and characters that I will most likely use, focusing in on things that I haven't used as much or things that I use a lot that I want to use more. So I'll go through my sticker collection and pull out a selection of characters and scripts in the foil color that I want to use for the week, as well as matching characters. And I pull out a variety of things to have at my fingertips so that that's a little bit easier to manage rather than going into my larger binders whenever I need an individual sticker sheet. I also pull some foil items, icons, scripts, things like that. These are some examples from the Glam Planner foil binder bundles in silver, as I'm doing a spread in silver this week. Then I go through those items that I wrote down in my dailies and pull characters, icons, and scripts that align with each of those 6, sometimes 7 items in my daily planner. Then I'll go into my spread at the beginning of the week, and you see those stickies there. Those I have pre-planned where my full boxes will go. You see that they are spread throughout strategically, and I have given each sticky a label. Each of those labels identifies or describes briefly the content of the full box that I want to go there. So you see on Monday, I labeled that sticky. In the middle of Monday, it's labeled masks. This tells me that the full box that I want to go in that space is the full box that has a picture of masks on it. I do a similar identifying method for each of the full boxes and indicate where I want them in the spread with my stickies. Examples of these stickies will be linked below. I do the same in the bottom washi section to indicate which strip of bottom washi I want to put on the top versus the bottom of the bottom washi area. That's usually self-explanatory, but it just helps me to have everything laid out. So for example, my top bottom washi section here was labeled pink foil, and my bottom washi section sticky was labeled patterned washi, in case you're curious. Then I removed those orange stickies to make room to lay down those strips of washi. As I was doing that, I noticed that a little bit of the lines on the edges showed outside the boundary of the washi, so I just used some whiteout to clean that up a little bit. The whiteout that I use will also be linked down below. Then my next step for pre-planning or creating my base is to put down those strips of washi. After I put down both sets of washi strips, I'm ready to move into the sidebar. So I'm zooming you in a little bit. If you saw that orange sticky was labeled Fashion Girl, that tells me that when I go back to the full boxes page, that I want to take the full box that has the Fashion Girl in it and put it in that space. This did take some planning off camera to kind of look at the full boxes, decide where I wanted to put them. I generally do put the Fashion Girl, if there is one, in the sidebar, either on the top or the bottom. And then I look at the other full boxes that are available to me and try to separate them in terms of type of full box. So I try not to put flat lays next to each other. I try not to put full boxes that have too many of the same elements or patterns too close to each other. And I also like to consider where to put my double boxes. I generally put my double box on Saturday and Sunday. I also consider placement of my boxes relative to each other in terms of space in the column. I don't like to put all of my full boxes in one row. I prefer to stagger them. That's just my style. After laying down that first full box, in my planning style, the next section that I have is a this week section. So this kit did come with a this week header, so I put that down. Then I would normally put in a 3-heart checklist. Again, this is just my style. There are lots of other planners out there that organize their sidebars completely different from me, so check out other people's videos to see how they do it. This is just an example. And then for this kit, it did not come with 3-heart checklists, so instead I just cut down a full box checklist into 2 even pieces and placed the checklists down where I wanted them. If you notice, I also placed another of the full boxes, one of the flat lays, at the bottom of the sidebar. Again, that's just a preference. I like to have my this week header at the top and some action items for the following week at the bottom. And then above my next week section, I like to include a half box for my favorite moment of the week. This was an idea that I borrowed from Taylor of Tattoo Teacher Plans. I will label that with a positive thoughts script from Letters to Apollo. Then above that, I usually put in habit trackers. So I did put a little bit of a divider there with a glitter header on which I will place that positive thoughts header. And then the 2 checklists, I try to stagger things, pieces of similar colors, so that there isn't too much color blocking, one color right next to the other. I thought that the pink and the reddish color would have been a little too similar, so I staggered them a little bit by putting the green habit tracker in between the red checklist and the pink habit tracker, if that makes any sense. And then I pulled in some gold scripts to create the items in each of my checklists. For my this week section, I just chose some tasks that I wanted to focus on for the week. For my habit trackers, this week, the week in this spread, I chose to track me time or self-care, as well as reading. And then for my checklist in the bottom of my sidebar, I used another set of gold scripts from different shops to think about the tasks that I wanted to focus on for the following week. And then as I'm creating my sidebar, I look back at the previous spread to indicate how I should set up my this week header. So the items from my last week header, the previous spread, mirror the items in the this week header of the following week spread, if that makes any sense. And that completes the basic setup for my sidebar. And then I go into setting up the base for the day-by-day section. For this, I like to work in columns. I like to set up one day at a time, rather than doing different aspects of the spread altogether. As you can see, I usually start with the first set of glitter headers across the top. For this spread, you will notice that my glitter headers are not the same repeating pattern throughout. That is because I did not have matching glitter headers designed for this spread, so I pulled in some leftovers so the colors won't match exactly. Don't be alarmed by that, but I just generally try to have the same pattern of glitter headers throughout, and that is usually my first step, to lay down the first top set of glitter headers. This step gives me sort of a starting point to make sure that my date covers, as well as my first row line up properly. For this spread, I am using bougie boxes. All stickers and tools used will be linked below. I think for this spread I used a combination of Scribble Prints Co., Glam Cleaner, and Sticky Essentials glitter underlays. And you'll see here what I was talking about with sort of setting up one column or day at a time so that everything lines up. I put down that bougie box and then a glitter header right underneath it. I did some planner math to figure out which color glitter header needed to go in that space. And then, as I mentioned before, I planned to put in that masks themed full box right there in that space. So that is what I'm doing there. After removing that orange sticky, I placed down the appropriate full box. And then I am able to do some more planner math and figure out which color glitter header needs to go underneath that full box, as you see right there. And then the last step when setting up Monday, the base for Monday, will be to put down another bougie box. I do find that using bougie boxes helps me to make sure that my glitter headers line up. It helps me to get the spacing and orientation correct across my spread. If using bougie isn't your style, then it would be perfectly fine to just eyeball your putting down your glitter headers, or even use a ruler to help you line them up straight if you're not using bougie boxes to help you line things up. Either way is perfectly fine. Again, just follow whatever planning style works for you. I never thought that I would be a fully blinged out bougie box kind of person, but here we are. Here you'll notice that I am using 2 half full box confetti underlays. I believe these are from the Clam Planner Binder Bundle in gold, to just sort of mash those together to make one full bougie box. So that is another option. I believe that towards the end of the spread I stacked an entire box's worth of half-cut headers. So you just have to kind of get creative, and honestly most of this bougie is going to get covered up by stickers and boxes and things anyway, but I do actually find that day by day planning, I find it to be easier using bougie than without it, simply because having that sticker underneath your day by day items does make them easier to pull up and reposition if you need to adjust your spacing as you go through and plan each day. There you'll notice I pulled off that sticky for Wednesday that told me that I wanted to put this particular full box down. I believe that the label on that orange sticky was bath bombs, and you see that the full box that I'm putting down there has the bath bombs related clip art. So giving myself just sort of those little hints and reminders on the stickies before I start putting down the base just keeps me organized and makes the whole thing go faster, especially if I'm filming. It would take a lot longer and require a lot more editing if I was doing that in real time. I did take some time, as I said before, to look at the full boxes on the full box page and decide where I want to put them in the spread before I turned on the camera, so it saves me time in that sense. In there I had just a little bit of extra space between that full box and the bottom washi, so I just stuck in a half-cut header to fill the space, and I think it looks just fine. There, I'm continuing with my glitter headers. It does depend on where I start planning each day, where I start putting things down does generally depend on where I plan to put the full box. So because I am putting the full box on the bottom of this column, I started planning this day, I started laying down the base elements from the bottom up. Whereas on Tuesday, since I wanted to put the full box on the top of Tuesday, I planned that column. I put down those base stickers from the top down, if that makes any sense. Here again, I am taking, I think, 3 third box foil underlays, again I believe from that Clam Planner Foil Binder Bundle, to bougie out that box. Again, you can either go all the way up in one direction or kind of meet in the middle, like that day went, where I sort of met in the middle with the bougie and put the glitter header down in the middle. Or you can go all the way from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top, your choice. Here I'm using some more of those third box bougie pieces to bougie that bottom section, because you can see that our full box is going to go in that middle section because that is where our sticky note is. You can also see that I labeled that sticky Chanel book. That was just the identifier that I used to remind me that the full box that would be going in that space would be the one with that included the Chanel book clip art, and that will come in just a minute. But the next step will be to put in the appropriately colored glitter header, and then that full box. You can see that on Saturday and Sunday I do have two stickies next to each other. That indicates to me that that is where I want to put the double box scene. Here you'll see that I start using the Sticky Essentials full box washi tapes. I do find these unfortunately kind of hard to work with. They are perforated, however, I don't find the perforations to be very effective. They don't work very well, so I do have to cut along the perforated lines with scissors in order to get a straight edge. Here you see another example of pulling in one of those bougie box tape pieces and lining it up with that top glitter header. So next will be our next glitter header in the pattern. Again, the pattern won't look exact since I am not using matching glitter headers. I just pull these from my stash, putting under that another bougie box. Since I don't need a full box until Sunday, there's that example of the double box. The double box I wanted to put on Saturday and Sunday, since I don't usually have as much going on Saturday and Sunday. I could put two boxes next to each other and it wouldn't look as busy. A lot of people put the double boxes in extenders. I have an example of how to do that in my mystery plan with me that is up on my channel. I have only used full box extenders once, but I did enjoy it very much and want to do more of it in the future. It just gives you more room to plan and add things to your spread, and it just adds a little bit of interest to your base. You can't see it right now, but you will be able to in a second. I'm just putting in my date covers and making sure that they line up with each of the top glitter headers on the top of each day, and that they also cover up the printed dates in the planner. There you go. I try to make sure that they line up pretty perfectly with the top set of glitter headers, and I also, to save time, put in the date numbers on the date covers ahead of time. So that helps with efficiency when filming this process as well. I really hope that you enjoy this and that it was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to help. I hope that this was helpful, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.